is monumentally, it's tough because it's just tough. It goes back to the local minded thing where almost when you're doing this thing, you almost want to take the local somehow out of the equation so people don't see that, because somehow it's almost like it's like a 4-letter word that people somehow degrade the situation or the whole thing because it's got the local name attached to it. It means lesser.
It gives you a ceiling.
Yeah, it means somehow it means lesser than local does. And it's crazy to me, especially since I started doing this podcast and meeting all these bands and then going out and seeing all these local bands, which I didn't do as much until I did this podcast. Right. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, there's so much out there to see that's killer. And I think that there's people who never even give it a chance. I'm in the band. 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 I'm in a bag. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Level Up Cleveland. And this week, we have a couple guys in here representing the CLEMOSHFEST this year. Actually, these are the guys, right? I mean, you guys put on the festival, second year.
Yep.
I'm going to introduce you guys left to right.
Awesome.
Gabe Gazic.
Yep. Hello, guys.
And we got Jordan Gannon, his partner in crime. On? You guys are the two that really make it all happen.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk about the why and the how and all the stuff that goes, the fun that's been had by it and everything. But let's start like we always do from the beginning. Actually, you know what? Let's not.
Okay.
I want to talk a little about CLEMOSH first.
Sure.
Because there's something about the name that I can understand people like messing around with it, you know, like, because I even asked you, is it CLEMOSH Festival, CLEMOSH Fest? What is it?
Yes, we accept two answers, right? It's either CLEMOSH or CLEMOSH Fest. No in betweens.
That's it.
So I've heard everything. We've heard stuff from, Cleveland Mosh Festival to just like Mosh Fest, no name attached. But this is Cleveland, man. It's got to be in all caps too, by the way. All caps.
All CLEMOSH.
Yup. So that's the name. Putting it on record. CLEMOSH or CLEMOSH Fest.
CLEMOSH or CLEMOSH Fest. So CLEMOSH is really what it is, but because it's a festival, you could put the fest on there just to let people know what it is.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
a way it makes sense. And this is a metal fest. I mean, that's what it is, right? These are metal bands, thus the mosh. But I mean, it could be a lot. These could be hardcore, it could be metal, but that's what it is. It's metal.
For sure. Yeah.
And you guys are also in a band.
Yes, we're kind of between bands currently, but I'll let Jordan kind of give you the info on that.
Yeah, so actually we just recently decided to end our band that we've had since we were 14 years old. And
how recently did you guys do that?
Our last show was in June.
Okay.
So it was a big thing as our headliner, kind of like last show, goodbye show type thing. But yeah, we just ended it because we were getting really focused on this festival, and we were also dealing with a lot of different creative differences and all that usual band stuff. But we're just looking to do kind of bigger, better things.
Yeah, we didn't want to make a big hoopla of ending it. I mean, we were just a local band. We did pretty good for a local band, I'd say. Played for some pretty good names like Attila, Mushroom Head. We got around for the 5 years that we were a band.
What was the name of the band? What was the name?
Dying Desolation.
Okay.
Yes. And it was fun. We were in that band, like you said, since we were kids. When we first met, we wanted to do a band, and so we did. And it was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of people that we've still stayed in touch with throughout the whole process and into the CLEMOSH and stuff. But yeah, we're currently just casually writing music with another friend of ours, but that's, yet to come as far as making it an official band and stuff. But we're just focusing on this festival for now.
Is that what it is? So it's just like the music part of you is still has to come out, and you guys still got to do your thing. But this festival takes a lot of time and energy and that part of it, so you can't commit to anything.
For
really.
Sure. And there's a lot of taste changes that happens between the ages of 14 and 20.
Sure.
You know,
absolutely.
Your taste matures
And everybody
Quite a
kind of
bit.
goes in a different direction at that point.
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So is that also what happened? You guys started also like, well, I'm not really into this anymore. You had a couple of that.
For
One of those guys, and somebody else life happens to maybe or whatever and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We're all still very good
Kind of
friends.
filters the whole process. It's a filtering process, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm personally still very proud of what we managed to achieve. We had some pretty good numbers at our height, on Spotify and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we just kind of CLEMOSH has opened up our eyes to what we can really achieve if we put our heads together. Just like the extra cooks in the kitchen kind of complicates things. We've always been a good pair, I think, and just seeing how it took off its first year has shown us that our ambitions should be a bit greater than what that band was. That was kind of like a meandering local level band. We wanted to take it a step further if we were to continue writing music. So we decided to just start fresh. We're going to come back into the scene with our own stuff and hopefully, come out the gate swinging next time. But yeah, for now, CLEMOSH has been a good learning experience and just opened our eyes to what we can do together.
Is it a learning experience from the standpoint that you're meeting other bands and meeting all these new musicians and seeing what you can be, or is it from the standpoint of what you two have accomplished together doing this, or is it both?
I'd say it's both. I think it's definitely what we can accomplish together in terms of like how we managed to make it a successful sold out first year show with, not a whole lot of promotion even. But also I think managing, because there was a lot of bands that first year.
This is the ballroom too, Beachland Ballroom, right? This
Yes.
is so this is like 300-400. How many people is max there?
500 in the main stage or ballroom stage, and we also had the tavern in the mix, which is I think 250 or so.
Oh, so you had 750 almost sold?
Yes.
That's what you guys did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that is a lot.
But so doing that and managing all those different bands, you kind of get like a bird's eye perspective on the local scene. And, I love the local scene, but a lot of bands do a lot of things wrong. And I think managing a lot of them at once kind of taught me that personally, I think Jordan also agrees. It's like, it just kind of showed us that like it kind of put into perspective what we were doing wrong as well, because a lot of like local bands are just very much the same in terms of how they're operating. And we were like that too. And, it just opened our eyes to like, we got to be better than this,
What do you mean? I mean, so like you're talking about operating. You're not talking about necessarily the songwriting process and stuff like that. You're talking about the other stuff.
Yeah, more so like a lot of these local bands, again, I love them all, but they have low standards for themselves in a way. Like, they'll be playing 10 shows a month in the same city and like 2 people come out to each show, and it's like they've been a band for 8 years, and I just like, seeing that, I'm like, wow, I don't want to be like that.
It's a promotional thing. You think bands don't know how to promote themselves more, so kind of spread themselves out, get more recognition.
Yeah, and again, it could be because I'm also a marketing minor, but it just kind of when you see these great bands with an awesome stage presence, and great songs, and then they're playing these shows that are not at the caliber they should be, it kind of just disappoints me, and I figure a lot of it is just kind of it comes with the tag of like local band. People like limit themselves to being like quote unquote just a local band instead of they're competing with themselves instead of the people at the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So.
And because there's a difference between being a local band and being a band from Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are two different. Those are two different
It
things.
also depends on what your goals are. Like if all you want to do is play live and stay home, that's great. If you want to just keep playing or whatever. But obviously our goals, we want to grow quite the audience, nationally, and possibly play those bigger festivals or get on some good tours.
Music is more than just a hobby for us, and we feel like it couldn't have grown past that with our previous band because it was very much operating as a local band, if that makes sense.
Sure. So. And you guys have now like dipped into like some other avenues, not just making music with the band stuff, but taking on a festival is big work.
Yeah.
We did our own concert and we had 3 bands, and that was a lot of fucking work. I can only imagine what it's like when you guys did what you guys put together there. And the for what it's worth, I'm sure it's the same. The biggest battle is just selling tickets. I mean, like just that part alone is monumentally, it's tough because it's just tough. It goes back to the local minded thing where almost when you're doing this thing, you almost want to take the local somehow out of the equation so people don't see that, because somehow it's almost like it's like a 4-letter word that people somehow degrade the situation or the whole thing because it's got the local name attached to it. It means lesser.
It gives you a ceiling.
Yeah, it means somehow it means lesser than local does. And it's crazy to me, especially since I started doing this podcast and meeting all these bands and then going out and seeing all these local bands, which I didn't do as much until I did this podcast. Right. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, there's so much out there to see that's killer. And I think that there's people who never even give it a chance.
100%. And that's one of my personal goals with this festival, is to kind of, get rid of that barrier, but because we, at least this year and moving forward, we want to, have, like, our goal for this year was to have national bands on the ballroom stage and then locals in the tavern. So the draw is mostly in the nationals, but people will also come and see the locals, and it'll give them a big platform to, get a bigger audience, because, all these festivals, the issue is, well, number one, Cleveland didn't have its own festival until we came around. There's festivals like Incarceration in Mansfield, which is close enough, or like in Columbus, Sonic Temple. But Cleveland in itself had never had its own festival. So that was one untapped market. But then also there's most festivals always feature the same fucking 5 bands playing every year, since 20 years ago. You got like, your Slipknots, your Breaking Benjamins, and like they're all good bands, but like there's never been really any modernization, I feel, So our goal, our mission statement in a sense, is to, even with the nationals, put on like the bigger, more up and coming ones instead of the same ones that everyone can see anywhere else anyways. And then also with that, bring in the best, we handpick all the local bands, some of them ask us to play, but we still have to review them, and we feel that we've picked, every year we're going to pick the best of what Cleveland has to offer in the metal and rock scene. So it's going to give them a platform just as much as well.
Last year, when you were at this, doing that part of the process where you were picking bands and stuff like that, and obviously what you were saying is last year was a lot more local. Mm-hmm. This year, you're going to kind of switch it up some. But was it easy? Did bands immediately say, "Yeah, I want to do this," and you had no problem picking them, and you had to like kind of like narrow it down, or was last year like a little different than what it is?
So we had a handful of friends just in other bands. So immediately we had a pretty good group of bands ready to go. They were on board with the idea. They liked it. Like our buddies from Pray for Sleep in Columbus, they were right on board. I think we brought up the idea to them first, and they said they would play it and whatever else. But
it was easy, and then it wasn't, because it's funny, that mission statement that I mentioned, it really changed and evolved rather quickly, because the idea started out when we were still in that band that we mentioned, and the whole concept was like, wouldn't it be cool to do like a mega show with like a bunch of our buddies in the scene and all local bands, and just like, because we've seen people try it before but not really successfully. Like, people would get a bunch of bands, put them in like a hole in the ground venue and not sell tickets, and then it just kind of falls through. But we thought, like, wouldn't it be cool to gather a bunch of our friends and really good local bands and just do a big like local festival. And then at first, there was some immediate bands that we were friends with, like Jordan mentioned, but then there was people that like, we wanted to get some of the bigger locals, but they were skeptical because we had no experience organizing shows that weren't our own. But then when we announced the festival around September of last year, I think our marketing for it was so good out the gate that instantly when we announced, like, all these capital letters, new Cleveland Festival, heavy bands, we got a lot more attention instantly. Like, there were national bands hitting us up. They didn't know it was meant to be just a local festival. And all of a sudden I'm getting offers and requests from these nationals like, hey, we're coming through that area. We want to play your festival. We'd already booked all the locals. We're like, shit, what do we do now? So we even actually had to add 2 slots to the roster last year to make room for 2 national bands, which was just by pure chance. We just happened to catch their eye, and then we realized the potential was there for including them in the mix too.
Are you just using social media to do this with? Is that how you're doing it? Just through and what are you using? Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook mostly, yeah.
That and that you kind of stick by that. That's
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They work for you.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. Especially Instagram, especially has been great because I think just like the cross promotion is really good on Instagram. Like you can invite, if you have a band playing, you can invite them to like collaborate. It's called on the post, and they can add their audience to the post as well. There's a lot of just good cross promotion, but another one of our goals was to not invest a single dollar of our own money into this. And to this day, we've only invested in the logo, and that's it. Yeah, the rest has been completely free.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So you guys really don't have a lot financially put into this whole process at all. Now, don't know. Is there any kind of like? Do you have to get bands on? Bands just voluntarily come on, or
no?
Is there a commitment to that?
It's sponsor funded, so we get a lot of local companies or businesses will get to pitch in because they believe in the festival, and we'll exchange for some social media.
Gotcha. Yeah, sure.
Put their logos on the.
So it is sponsor driven.
The event.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah. Because on top of just bands, we can also shine some spotlight on local brands as well, and people that it's never some bullshit like drink or like furniture business. It's always something relevant. Like we have recording studios in Cleveland, or we have like guitar repair shops in Cleveland, etc.
Tattoo artists,
and so on. And so if they want some promotion as well, they just pitch in a little bit of money for us to help fund get these bands on the bill, and we promote them on our Instagram and such, and it works out for everyone.
And you guys are a part of that process also. You guys sell the advertising and everything. That's that's part of it. You guys got. So do you guys have other jobs other than doing this stuff too? Or do you guys have a full-time job and this on top of it?
Yeah.
Would that be correct to say? I mean, that's a lot, dude. I mean, what you guys are explaining to me just sounds like an incredible amount of work. Plus coming out here and doing this kind of stuff also to try to get the word out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both a little bit all over the place. Yeah. My normal job would be that I install windows, and it's kind of part-time because I actually fly down to South Carolina to install windows just because they pay better, and my dad's got some connections and stuff. That's what he does, so it's kind of a good okay.
And Mushroom Head.
So you can just literally go make a ton of money in spurts, and then so you're not having to go do 40 hours.
I try to make a good
chunk
sum of money in one time frame, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, and then I'll come back home and just save it for as long as I can. I also work with Mushroom Head, like you just said, with their art, and I tour with them now, doing stage production and water drums here and there. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
You play the water drums once in a while?
Yeah.
You know Daniel Fox? Did you know Dan Fox?
I do, and I saw that episode.
Yeah, that was great. What a cool dude that was too.
Yeah,
man.
He's always so chill. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun, and oh man, I feel like I was gonna say something after that, but
something profound.
Drum teching.
Did you just switch channels on me, man?
Maybe kind of. Yeah. No, but I do stage production for them and the art back at home. So
cool. So you do art also on top of
like painting the masks and stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah. How
the hell do you get into that? Just tried it one day
and my buddy Aiden got connected to Mushroom Head through a few just mutual friends that they knew. Do you know the band Dose by any chance?
Heard of them.
Okay, well, they were connected with them, and that's how he got connected. And he kind of threw me in there because we were kind of trying to do the same exact thing. He's a drummer too, and eventually I just got to know everybody, and Skinny wanted me to try painting masks because I was interested, and it's kind of how it went.
I guess I didn't even ask you guys what instruments you guys play. I didn't even. So you're a drummer. We got that out.
Yeah.
Guitarist.
Guitar and drums. Yeah. Wow. So you guys. So let me get. I wanted because before I forget this and stuff, because it's kind of interesting what you guys were saying, because I think Pat and I can relate to what you guys had kind of said. I know Pat brings it up a lot. Is that you guys are in a band, and through this whole band process, at some point, you realize that you and him somehow think differently kind of than everybody else. You kind of have your own thing. And with fewer, there's less problems and less other things that can go wrong. And you kind of know that you two kind of can handle things in a way that there is no drama and there is none of this other stuff. You tend to agree on most things. Things are easy.
Yeah.
And that's how me and this dude have always been. That's
Right.
why, you know, even when we were making our music and stuff for years, it was just me and him doing everything. Pack and play bass, he play guitar. We had drum machines. We had some guys who would come in and do drums for us and just sit in for the recordings or whatever sometimes. But always it went back to the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The problem with two people is that it's hard to do live. So you can't really do a band. You can't really create this whole band atmosphere in a recording and then do it live. So
Right.
have you guys even discussed any of that part of this whole entire thing? Or are you guys so focused on the festival part right now that the band thing's taking a thing? I mean, like, you guys are writing music still. You're still doing all that. Are you going to take it to that level where you're going to have to create another band? And then what would you do then? It's just going to be like Steely Dan. I don't even know who Steely Dan is, but it was two guys, and they would hire studio musicians to literally fill in the rest of the band.
Yeah.
What would you guys do?
As of right now, we're writing music with a friend of ours who is a vocalist. And, you know, when you play guitar, you basically also play bass. You know, it's the same thing, just two less strings, essentially. So, I mean, like, writing and recording-wise, it's no big deal. He can play drums, I can play the string instruments, and then our buddy can sing. Live, I mean, it's easy enough to just do bass, you know, with backtracks. I know some elitists out there are going to, you know.
So you guys have already decided that it's just you two. That's it. You guys, you don't want anybody else involved.
I mean, it would be a 3-piece, the band.
So the guitar player is part of it also, you're saying? Is the guy that you guys are recording with right now?
Well, he's our vocalist. He would be our vocalist. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He'll play guitar, I'll play drums, and then our vocalist. will
And then
be
the
there.
bass will be on tracks.
Most likely. We could hire a bass player if we wanted to just for live. But, I mean, like, we don't really care about, we don't have the old school mindset of, like, there has to be actual bass, you know.
No, I got you. No,
So,
in this day and age, you don't have to.
Exactly.
But so you guys, so that's it. That's what it's come down to. And then also this. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys were on the bill of last year's festival,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, explain to me, like, how does the whole idea of the festival even start to begin, like, to form in your mind? Like, at what point are you guys kind of like, let's do a festival? When and why?
To be quite honest, there was, you know, of course, like I mentioned, like the desire to bring a bunch of bands that we like and have played with over the years together for one big mega show. But there also was, you know, that side of, like, selfish, like, if we do this festival, we can put ourselves as the headliner, you know, why not? So that was definitely a factor for year one. Although when I mentioned that, like, at a certain point we got national bands' attentions, and we ended up going second to last on the main stage because the national for that year that we just were so lucky to, you know, get in touch with and get on the bill, they were the last band. But you know, I would be lying if I said it wasn't part of our motivation in the first year of doing it, just to give ourselves also, like, a bit of a platform with our own band. Of course, now we're no longer in a band. I mean, our new band in the future, when we do eventually get the wheels rolling on that, we would like to play the festival. I mean, it's our own festival. It's easy enough to book.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll let you in.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Guys that run the thing are assholes, you know.
yeah, I mean, like, aren't you guys going to miss that part this year? I mean, I would think that's got to be, like, pretty freaking cool part of the whole entire process.
Of course, I personally, I would want to play it every year, of course. But I'm totally okay with waiting too. You know, it'd be much more worth it to me to, like, get this band a really good foundation, and then get it running rather than rush it just to play the festival this year. You know.
Yeah. And also it just allows us, because, like, you know, last year, of course, it was year one. It's going to, you know, have some kinks in the system. But, you know, it was very stressful that first year, managing 14 total bands and also playing. So this is just going to be a good way to just kick back and kind of let it be a bit more smooth sailing.
This is going to be December 9th.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if we discussed the date yet, but December 9th, Beachland Ballroom and Tavern. You guys are going to use them both. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I went to that Shotgun Festival that was at the Beachland Ballroom. That was at Alethea put on that thing, and she had 8 bands, and it was very similar as far as you had 4 bands in the ballroom, 4 bands in the tavern,
Nice.
and 1 band played the tavern, and then they would switch over to the ballroom while this band set up. You're allowed for setup time. Is that what you guys are kind of going to do here?
Exactly what we're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It works really well there.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that setup. I thought that was so genius, and I was like, "Wow, is that what you guys did last year? Also,
Yeah.
same
Yes.
type of thing.
It was 7 and 7 last year.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, coordinating that too has got to be tricky too. I mean, like, this is like precise timing and stuff like that. Things can't just get too far out of whack at all, or it fucks the whole thing up.
Yeah.
So how do you guys? I mean, how do you guys do that? Is there more than just you two at that point?
No.
No.
At no
we build
point.
a very strict schedule, and we let the bands know like months in advance. And
Yeah.
like we sent them this whole like PDF packet basically of like every detail of the venue and like where they need to be at certain times. And
We went over there,
they
took
needed to
pictures
follow
of every entrance and exit and stage, and we
Yeah.
like labeled it with arrows and circles.
Merch
We had like a
areas.
7-page document outlining everything. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
No
we
kidding.
got real nerdy with it, but
And I'm-
to be prepared,
And I'm
you
OCD,
know?
so I had to have everything like down to the last minute detail, documented for all the bands.
Are these
and-
things like laminated too? And
not laminated, but
It's all digital, but it's basically at that point. Like, if
but
you-
you know what sucks though about local bands is that they don't fucking read them.
yeah,
You know?
right. It doesn't matter.
Like I'll get there and they're like they're loading in. They're like, hey, where do I put my? I'm like, dude, I wrote like a 7-page fucking document.
Does that annoy you? The hell out of you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they show up there, I got my hands full with a bunch of other shit.
Yeah,
and
like
they're
the whole idea, the reason that you did that is because you knew that you wouldn't have the time to do that when
Yeah.
this event's
Right.
going
We
on.
put in all this extra work to make sure they're prepared, just for them to show up unprepared. You
Yeah.
know, it's just
Well,
like
At least the
musicians-
national bands are gonna fucking read it. 'cause they
Musicians
have
are
tour
harder.
managers.
They're a little tough. Musicians are tough.
Yeah.
They're one track minded. Gig. That
Mhm.
all the
I
other
get it,
stuff.
too.
Somebody
If-
else's
if
somebody
they're-
else's problem.
Yeah.
right. And if they're really hustling, I get it. Like if you're in your own band and you're really trying to make it grow, you're doing everything. You're running your own merch, you're running your own marketing, and just trying to build your own brand as well as playing other shows, not just
Yeah.
ours. So
Oh no, it
I
is.
can see why they see a giant packet and they're like, oh,
But that's
No.
all part of it too. Like you guys got to consider the merch part of it. So you guys got to have all that set up. You have they have a nice area already set up, kind of like the Beachland. That's kind of like set up for you in a way.
that area gets real small when you have 14 bands.
I was just gonna
Oh my
say though, how do
God.
you do 14 of them?
That's a story for you. We have made multiple trips to the Beachland. We have our own guy over there that we talked to about everything, and we were told one thing, which was basically, for 14 bands. Plus, we had our own CLEMOSH merch, and year one we had vendors, which we're not doing ever again because that was so cramped.
What kind of vendors were there?
There was one that sold like little like punk trinkets, like pins and stuff.
Oh, that
like
kind of stuff like more
Yeah.
merch type vendors. but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. I
This
got
year we're only doing sponsors, no vendors, because it was way too tight. But we were told way in advance that we could use, obviously, that, like you mentioned, the merch area that Beachland already has in the little hallway, but we could also use some spots of the tavern and the ballroom. The ballroom being the biggest open area, of course. We could line the walls with tables. Then we show up there, day of the festival, again, sold-out festival, and some other guy tells us, we're putting tables out in the ballroom. We have little envelopes for the bands with their names on it on the table with their like lanyards and stuff. And some guy tells us, "Yo, you gotta move that. This is a fire hazard because this many because one of the walls is a fire escape area, and we had put some tables relatively close to the fire escape door, not blocking it, of course. We're not that dumb, but we were told that it can't be anywhere in that proximity.
Right.
And so we had just a bunch of basically half of the band's worth of merch tables we had to move elsewhere and consolidate. And we ended up putting a lot more than we wanted to in the tavern, which actually made the tavern even smaller than it already is, which was kind of shitty. But this year, again, we're doing no vendors. There's 2 less bands this year as well. There's 12 instead of 14. And I think we just have a better idea of where everything should go. But that was a big stress the day of. So
Yeah, because you're trying not to have anything go wrong, and something like that where it's just like, this is what I gotta do. This is what's gonna go wrong, and take all
Yeah.
my time.
Right.
exactly.
This stupid crap right here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you got so many other things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the 12 from 14, that's designed. That was that by design. You guys were like, all right, 14 was too much. Let's get. Or
Yeah.
was that what it was?
Well,
After thinking about it, you guys were like,
I think originally we thought to have 12 bands the first year,
Yes.
but then those 2 nationals reached out to us,
And we couldn't
instead
resist.
of substituting bands, we just added them on. So it kind of made it a lot larger.
Now, the bands that are playing this year, do you guys know who some of them are at least? I mean, I'm sure you guys don't know all 14, or maybe you do. You're just not telling anybody. I don't know.
We know them.
But you guys know.
Yeah.
So who's on the bill?
So the headliner for this year is called Left to Suffer. They're a pretty new. They call themselves like a new deathcore. They're new metal and deathcore kind of combined. They're getting really big these days. They're from Georgia, I believe. They're the headliners. And we have below them is Tala, I think it's pronounced.
Yes.
Then also on that, these are all the nationals I'm mentioning right now. On that main stage, we got Left to Suffer, Tala, and the rest. I don't know the exact order of the lineup, but it's we have Mouth Breather, we have Chamber, Tracheotomy, and a band called. Then on the local side of things, we have A Sense of Purpose. They're from around here. Most of these bands are from around here. We try to at least, they're all from Ohio, but we try to get most of them from the Cleveland area. So we have A Sense of Purpose, and they have Audience of Rain. The Dead Don't Sleep.
Yep, and then Midwinter, Dreamwalker, and Six Deep.
Yes.
Wow. So you're the one that remembers everything.
We're
Sometimes you guys.
the
So you guys both.
Left brain, right brain, yeah.
So that's a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
And how many bands would you say you had to kind of go through to find the 12? Was there how many would you say wanted to be in this?
Well, there was a good amount of locals, I'd say, that reached out, because they just heard about the festival and they wanted to play it, and we went through a lot of those. I'd say the bigger struggle was trying to find more on the national side of things.
How'd you guys go about doing it?
Oh my God.
We sent a lot of emails, that's for sure. Just reaching out to booking agents and the bands themselves if they didn't have a booking agent listed on their website or social medias and whatever. It was just a lot of,
just a lot of throwing
hey,
shit at a wall and seeing what stuck.
Yes, no, maybe. Hey, let me say yes, and then not talk to you anymore.
Interesting position because, of course, the goal is always to make the next year better than the last one. And we had set this kind of expectation because, again, those two nationals that played last year were completely by chance. They happened to see our marketing. They didn't even, because, again, we knew it was going to be a local festival. That was the intent going into the first year. But we had marketed it so well and got so much of a commotion going that people didn't know that it was going to be that yet. So it was just new Cleveland festival. And nationals are get me on this. And we did. We had a band called I Set My Friends on Fire play last year as a national. They're a pretty big band, compared to all these locals at least. And so the expectation is that we're going to have more nationals, bigger nationals this year. And it was cool because on the local side of things, we had, notoriety now. That's the cool thing about a year two. We already had a sold out year one to go off of. They knew, okay, I want to be a part of this now. So that was no issue at all. We had a ton of local bands hitting us up. We had to decline a lot of them, unfortunately. But national-wise, just 1 year in the Beachland Ballroom, isn't really enough to...
That fucking guy's pissing me off. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Go ahead. It happens.
Okay.
The bleed through is not nearly as bad as you think it's gonna be, but he's just.
Just wanted to make sure we're still good to go.
The cacophony of suck. That's what he was talking about. But go ahead.
Anyways, but for the nationals though, we're still newbies. We're still fresh at the game.
Yeah, you only had 1 year behind you.
Exactly. So it's weird the kind of duality between the locals all love us, but the nationals are still skeptical.
Well, sure.
And we had a goal. We wanted to start booking bands way earlier this year. We started reaching out to them in April, and we thought okay, by June we're gonna have the whole lineup booked. Then it was last month we had no headliner still because the amount of nationals that we hit up versus the amount of responses we got was ludicrous. It was 50 emails, 10 responses, 9 of them instant no's. And it's it sucks because it just kind of boggles my mind. You'd think a booking manager would want to look into getting a show, get more information, but they just don't fucking respond at that level. It's just we kind of felt like we were hitting a brick wall because just say that our heads were a little big after our first year was,
Yeah, right. A lot more success than you thought. You're oh, this is easy.
Yeah, exactly. But then that one national that kind of landed in our laps was not at all indicative of the rest of the national process. So we kind of humbled ourselves, just reaching out to all these bands, just, radio silence, and Left to Suffer, who we got as a headliner now, was kind of just a funny situation because we hit them up first. I think actually that was our number one pick.
Yeah.
Back in April or May, and they weren't sure. And then we went on, looking for other bands until last month, and we just circled back. By any chance, are you guys still free? And they said, yes, if you can take the other 5 bands we're going to be on tour with along with us. And just like that, we had the rest of our national lineup pretty much secured, so that those 5 out of 6 bands on that stage are all from the same tour.
So you found somebody who was like going to be in this area touring, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, we can just hit that date on the way to that place, and
Yeah.
then and it just works out for everybody, and so therefore.
We did kind of splurge on that, though, I got to say, because, obviously paying for 5 instead of 1, we didn't anticipate it, but it was such a good opportunity we couldn't pass it up. So
very much worth it.
So you guys are putting up money up front in order. You guys are basically putting yourselves out there on making sure that between sponsors and ticket sales, you guys can cover all this and then some, hopefully.
Yeah, it's still all sponsor funded. We still haven't put a dollar of our own money into it, but we do send like the national bands half up front just so they don't drive from way out of the state to get there, and it's like, oh, sorry, it's canceled or something like that. They get like a guarantee.
Oh shit.
But yeah, no, there is some risk involved for sure with like paying them up front and just worrying about having enough to turn a profit. But I think we've done our calculations pretty good, and we know what we're doing at this point after a year and also years of experience with our own band and stuff. So we're confident about turning a profit and all that.
So here we are. It's November 4th. When did tickets start selling, or how when does that process? When did that start?
Well, they're already on sale. What date exactly did they start? Because I know the ticket sales started the day we announced Left to Suffer, which is the first band we announced.
The whole thing. So that was just recently.
Yeah, it was like about 3 weeks ago.
From today.
Maybe 4.
So so tickets are already on sale.
Correct.
Yes.
And did you do is the ticket sale process the same as last year's as far as how that part goes, or did you guys change that up at all?
Yeah, it's the same. It's just a bit more, of course, because the bands are a much bigger caliber that we're operating at compared to last year. But it's the same process as far as like the methods.
All online, or do you guys have paper tickets also?
You can get them all online, but we are also giving the local bands physical tickets to sell if they have people.
So you do have physical tickets also.
If you want to hit up one of the local bands and ask them for a ticket, you can, but you don't have to.
And how long does this last? What's the time frame of the whole thing?
Doors are at 3 p.m. and it's going to go till about 11, 12.
So you can do all this in about 8 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. How long do the bands get? Does it just progress as it goes on? First band's less time, and as the headliner gets closer, each band gets a little more time.
Yeah. It starts at 25 minutes at the first couple bands, and it goes up to like about an hour at the last band.
Wow. So I mean, like, there's a lot to plan. Like, so let me ask you this: like last year, was it just a lot of trial and error for you guys as far as how that all went? I mean, you couldn't. This is your first year. You guys couldn't have possibly had a lot of blueprint for something like this, could you?
And we really didn't want to fuck it up, so I think that's why we got so in detail about like what we were talking about earlier with making sure the band's prepared with that whole packet we made and all that. But I mean, we didn't really go through too much, did we? Like the first year.
I think it was a lot less daunting because we had those years of experience being in a band, and so we knew what the bands would expect. And we knew that whole side of the process, I'd say, if anything, this year was harder, even though we already did it once, because now with the Nationals, you have all this legal shit thrown in there with the contracts and the formal offers and the agreements and all that, which we're not lawyers. We're 20 years old, both of us. So that felt like we were kind of out of our depth. We had to get some advice from people that we knew.
You did, though? You went and saw some people and asked questions, or did you guys just
friends and just online, information gathering? But I think last year, since it was local, we didn't have to be as scrutinous or professional with again, the documents and stuff. Right. That all came this year.
It almost felt like we were doing our own show with our band, but there was just a lot more opening bands to take care of,
Yeah.
So just stay organized.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, I want to ask you guys this. So you're a guitar player. Mm-hmm. When do you start playing guitar?
I think 2017, around then, right? No, 2015. I lied to you because Jordan and I met in 7th or 6th grade in an art class, and our first big experience together was both of our first concerts. It was seeing 3 Days Grace at the House of Blues here in Cleveland because I liked rock. My friends all didn't really care for rock, but I knew, hey, that kid from art class likes rock. Let me ask him to go to this concert with me. And we saw 3 Days Grace, and this was our first concert. We were just blown away. We're like, bro, we have to do that. And I hadn't played an instrument a day in my life, except for just, I guess, the viola in fucking 4th grade, But I had a guitar that I got from my family friend, so I just learned with the intent of being in a band. And he already played some drums, so that was about it.
So you had already you started drums earlier?
Only by a little bit. Like I remember as he was starting to get in more into guitar, like that's when I got my first drum kit, and then a little bit later down the road I got like the double pedal, so I started to try out more like metal beats and faster stuff like that. But yeah, around the same time, I was 14 years old, kind of when I started playing drum kit. I did play drums in band, probably starting in like
school band.
yeah, school band. I had some interest in it. I remember being really pissed actually, because like the first day of band, I was like all about the drums. I was like, I want to learn how to play drums. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And the first thing they had us do was like play little xylophone bells. I was like,
That's not drums.
I was like, what the hell is this? But yeah, that's when I started, probably like 13.
What kind of music would you guys say that the band that you guys were in recently and what you guys are writing now? I don't know. Is it similar? Is it kind of like the same thing, or is it evolved?
We're kind of taking some more risks, trying other things out, but
Definitely experimenting and trying to.
yeah. But our other band was mostly just like metalcore kind of stuff.
Like that.
Yeah, more modern metal. Yeah.
And so you got who does the vocals? The other guy that he does all your vocals, and he does like the Cookie Monster vocal.
Yeah, I also do some of those too. I'm also like live. I do some backing kind of vocals and stuff too. But yeah, our current guy was in a band that broke up recently, so we're writing with him right now. His name is Keegan, so we're working with him. And then in our last band that just had our last show in summer, his name was Cody Archer. He was our vocalist. We also had a bass player called Simon Canaris. So yeah.
So it's pretty hard, gruesome shit. Is what you're saying. It's fucking. I mean, would you guys say you could rip people's faces off? I mean, is that the,
a few of our songs maybe?
Are you guys into a little melody?
We're honestly really trying to just make whatever we feel like making and whatever comes to mind, whether it is just heavy and disgusting or sounds like a pop song. Like we really want to get.
You guys are all over the place. So you guys have a lot of tastes, and you guys it just reflects in the music you guys write.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I got you.
We just want to be fun and kind of change things up because there isn't a lot of bands that dabble into multiple genres. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's gonna be so different that we don't sound like the same band. You know, I still want to kind of have that sound to each of our songs, but it'll be pretty fun and different all over the place.
Just loose, yeah.
You know, one thing that's tough to gauge is, I mean, I know for us it is, but like, you guys do this first show and you sold it out, right? And that's cool. But like you said before, your heads get big and da-da-da-da, and this happens, that happens, and then there's things that'll humble you real fast.
Oh, yeah.
And like, does it worry you that maybe that was that first time was like, you're like, let me ask you this. After that first one, what were the reviews of like? Did you guys see any of that kind of stuff? Were people reviewing it? Did ZM Delgado show up? I mean, if ZM says it's good, dude, that's official. Did you guys get reviewers though that talked about it? Did it get good reviews and everything?
Was there any like official like? I know we got like a press interview the day of. I mean, a lot of people were talking about it. The people that went to the festival that I talked to loved it.
It went over really well.
Anyone in the business that has done similar things has said it was impressive.
I think it was pretty unanimously favorable. I think even a member of that first year's national headlining band, I Set My Friends on Fire. They were a band for many years, playing like Warped Tour back in the day and all these big festivals for many years internationally. And one of them told me after the fest, like, bro, this was one of the most organized festivals I've ever been to in my entire life.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah, for what it's worth, like I said, I saw that Shotgun thing earlier this year. And the Peachland Ballroom is just the perfect place for something like this. Mm-hmm. And the tavern it's a great, I mean, the ballroom's really cool. Yeah. And they both, have their own bars. Mm-hmm. Everything's separated, awesome. Yeah. And when you're in the tavern, the bar's next to you. So you're literally like watching the band. You're like, I'll take another one. You know what I mean? So really, well, you guys aren't doing that yet. You got to know.
I will be because I'll be 21 4 days before. Yeah.
Wow. Festival. So this is going to be a celebration also.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
A little bit. Was it planned out that way? It's a little bit the date carried.
It just so happened to work out in my favor. It's funny. We're 2 weeks apart. He will not be 21.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
be
10
21
days
now.
after on the 19th.
So you guys didn't plan this out that perfect yet.
I
You
know,
guys should have
no,
waited
fuck,
10
yeah.
more
It's like,
fucking
well,
days,
we can't have it too
man.
close to Christmas. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true. That kind of messes things up.
So I'll just
a little
babysit him this year, and then
Yeah. Be
we'll
my
both-
DI
then
or
we'll have to hire a babysitter
designated
for the next
DD.
one.
DD.
And basically, everybody's going to be able to hear about this on Instagram, Facebook. Basically, those are your two platforms that you're getting the word out there in. You're selling the tickets through. Is there a website you guys also have going? Do you guys or is it?
We have our own website. It's called CLEMOSHFEST.com, but it's also available through the Beachland Ballroom's own website as well.
Oh, so they're selling them on their website, and you can get through your website also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there you do have a website.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything, all the information will be there.
Mhm.
Concert will be soon. It's not really that far away. I'm a month away.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that. It's and basically, yeah, man. If everybody goes to CLEMOSH, see, I think you might as well just say it's CLEMOSH Fest.
Yeah.
If it's in the email address
Yeah.
or the web address.
Mhm.
I'm not talking very well right
That's
now.
okay, man.
All right, we're out of time.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys coming down.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, I think we got the word out there, though. I really am excited for you guys.
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing a pretty cool thing. It's nice that you guys are as thorough as you guys. I think you can handle this.
Thank you.
You're right. There's a lot of people putting festivals out there and they kind of half-ass it.
Yeah.
They don't see it
Right.
through, and then it all caves in.
Yeah.
All right, guys, check them out. Beachland Ballroom, December 9th.
Be there or be square.
Be Square, the CLEMOSH Fest. You can check it out on CLEMOSHFest.com for tickets. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye. Awesome.
That'll be fine.